Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to give you a brief overview of the homicide that occurred here on Tuesday that involved a male, a female, and 2 young children. I just wanted to point out, and a lot of you probably can see, that this is something that impacts this neighborhood exponentially. All the kids that you see here are from the Boys and Girls Club coming by to, pay respects to their friend who they lost. So these kinds of cases just go a long way to show you how much this affects the entire community, because these kids shouldn't have to be thinking about this or dealing with that. So I want to thank them for being here as well, because you guys are all really brave. So I'm going to lead with Mayor Jackson, and then we'll have our investigators along with the Division of Fire provide some remarks as well as Councilman Brackatelli.
I want to first give my condolence to the families of the victims. And as was mentioned by Sergeant Chach, you can see by the outpouring of the community what this means to this community. So there's a condolence that we want to also give to the community at large. But we're here today to give you an update on the progress that has been made in this case. So I'm going to turn this over to Chief Williams.
Thanks, Mayor. Again, our condolences to the family and to this community. We know this is tough. A little more than 48 hours ago, we were standing on this very street talking about a tragedy that happened in our city. And although this doesn't change that, doesn't really make it any better, we are here to report that we have some bit of a resolution to that with the arrest of Armand Johnson for the crimes that happened less than 48 hours ago. I want to thank our community for coming out. I want to thank you guys for making sure that everything stays peaceful around here. The Division of Police, the City of Cleveland, all of our safety partners who you'll hear about later that helped us get to this resolution in 48 hours. We're all grateful for the help from this community. Now I ask that you definitely give this family a little bit of space, that you allow them to grieve in this process, because unfortunately this is just the beginning of a long process within the criminal justice system to come to a resolute end and putting this person away, hopefully for the rest of their life. Again, our condolences go out to the family. This person is now in jail, and we hope and pray, and our investigators have done an excellent job of bringing us to this point, but we hope and pray that this person never sees the light of day again. Right now I'm going to bring up, I'm going to bring up our firefighter representative, Mike, Lieutenant Norman from our Cleveland Division of Fire, to say a few words about some of the things that happened and their response in assisting us here a couple days ago. Mike.
I'm Cleveland Fire Lieutenant Mike Norman on behalf of Cleveland Fire Chief Angela Cavillo. I just want to mention some of the resources that Cleveland Fire committed for this investigation. I'll start with Engine and Ladder 11, who came on the initial first responder. They protect this neighborhood every day. Our fire investigation unit and our fire investigators were involved in this investigation, as was our hazmat unit who came in and made sure that the environment was safe for people to work inside. We also want to acknowledge the efforts of the State Fire Marshal, who provided a canine unit to assist in the investigation. Thank you.
Lieutenant Pillow from our homicide unit.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Ali Pillow, the Cleveland Division of Police. I want to thank everyone for coming out today. I want to start out by thanking a lot of our law enforcement and federal partners, as well as the community, for the support that we received. As Lieutenant Norman mentioned, we want to thank the Fire Department and our investigation unit. This investigation was complicated by the fire started in the home. There were a lot of things going on in the city during this past week, and we needed a lot of resources. And at no time was there anything that I asked for that I did not receive. We utilized the Ohio State Highway Patrol's intelligence unit, our recently activated real-time crime center, our gang impact unit. We had partners from the FBI as well as the ATF respond. The 4th District, their basic patrol, as well as their detective bureau. We had a number of resources here working to close this case. We utilize these resources on a regular basis. It's kind of highlighted today by the magnitude of this investigation and us all being here at the same time. But these are resources that we use often. I also want to thank the community members. I saw a lot of neighbors lending support to family members who showed up. We had our community relations people out here on scene. Frontline services helped out. Thanks to the chief and the mayor and our command staff, our employees assistance unit was out here to assist our officers who are dealing with a really, really tragic situation. I can't talk a great deal about the investigation. What I can tell you is that we take seriously the crimes that happen in this community. We also take seriously charging individuals for these crimes. It is not lost upon us the fact that we are charging the father of one of the children in this crime. And I would assure you that we would have to be confident in our probable cause to charge this individual with this crime. We have a long way to go with the investigation. This is just the beginning, as the chief stated. I want to offer my condolences to the family, and I want to reiterate what the chief asked for. This crime is affecting a number of families, victims, as well as the suspect. And the family has asked for some privacy. The Collins family has asked me for that, and I want to reiterate that to you. These people are grieving. This investigation is going to continue. We have a long way to go. And again, I can't go into a lot of details. I know that one of the questions you guys are going to want to know that this individual has been charged. His first appearance will be tomorrow morning at 8:30. He was charged with aggravated murder. Some of the other charges will probably be sought at the grand jury at a later date. And at this time, I guess I'm going to...
All right. Thanks, Lieutenant. I just want to emphasize, if there's anybody out there in this community that needs to talk to someone, there are services available. I see our Boys and Girls Club rep and our kids here. They do a great job in taking care of our kids. The city offers services through all of our resource centers and our recreation centers with counselors and people like that that you can actually talk to. So if there is anybody in our community, anybody at all that needs to talk to somebody that's having a hard time coping with things like this, reach out. The help is out there and available for you. All right, with that, we'll open it up for, I'm sorry, I almost forgot our Councilman Brackatelli wants to say a few words.
Thank you. You can't say enough prayers and sorrow for the family and the horrific incident that occurred today. But there really are, when times of trouble like this happen, the mayor often talks about neighborhoods of choice. And neighborhoods of choice start with me, with the people on our street, with the people that care about our community. When an incident like this occurs, and the first call I get is from Chris Alvarado at Slavic Village that talks about mobilizing our block clubs. East 63rd Block Club is a very active block club. When I come down the street and I see somebody like Pastor Lewis from the Mount Block Club talking to the neighbors and residents and communicating, and when the chief talks about being able to go down the street and question and get more information, it's because we have a neighborhood of choice for people that care about their neighborhoods. And when I get a call from Earl Pike at University Settlement saying he has someone that wants to help with funeral services, and they don't know the family, but they know the grieving that's going on in our community. When you get a call, the Boys and Girls Club opened their door last night to let the block club meet and discuss and talk about the issues going on. And as stated, the Boys and Girls Club grief counselors that are available, you go up and down and see the neighborhood engaged. You see the neighborhood who really cares about their community. And up and down the businesses that are here, this is a horrible day, but it recognizes the strength. This is not going to define our community. It's the strength of our neighbors and our residents and the businesses here that we will continue to be strong and continue to support the families as they make their way through this. Thank you.
A couple questions?
Chief?
Yes.
They just wanted to say thank you. They have to thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming. Hang in there. Mrs. Souder and the staff at Boys and Girls Club will take good care of you guys. All right?
Can you tell us anything about Mr. David Cousin's involvement? Because we know that obviously she and the kids were, somehow related to the guy, but how did he sort of get involved?
Yeah, again, and I'll have Lieutenant Pillow or Commander Conley address that. We don't want to get too deep into the details because there's still a long way to go in the investigation. There's still a grand jury process to go through, and we don't want to taint that. But Lieutenant, if you want to.
Right now, at this point in our investigation, we believe that Mr. Cousins was just a resident and a neighbor coming home and happened to stumble upon the suspect as when he was leaving the area. Right now, that's what our investigation is directed at. But we're exploring all of the options, but right now, that's what it looks like, that Mr. Cousins was a victim of simply being here.
Can you tell us more about the suspect's criminal history?
I don't want to go into that right now. It is available, but yeah, I won't go into it right now.
Can you tell us how difficult has this been on your detectives? You mentioned a little bit of having to come to social workers here. How difficult has this been?
Well, these investigations take a toll on the homicide detectives and the homicide unit in general. I think that I work with some very, very special people. I don't want to talk about them. I can talk about me personally. It is difficult, but like I said, the city's provided us some resources, and I think we all try to find our own ways to deal with it. But what we try to do is focus on the investigation, focus on bringing that person to justice. It's kind of after the fact when things kind of slow down that you get a chance to sit back and reflect on what you're actually doing. But right now it's the task at hand and getting it done.
Is he going to be charged with premeditation with his criminal history?
Not sure yet, man. Like I said, we're still early into the investigation. We still have more questions unanswered than answered right now. So that is something that we'll look into.
So it looks like you have a motive yet, or a possible motive?
That's still being investigated.
So Mr. Johnson was taken into custody on Tuesday. Why are you guys just making it public now?
He was arrested for an aggravated robbery warrant on Tuesday.
Mr. Armand was charged with murder before and took a plea bargain and has been out to do this again. Is that possible with this case? Can he take another plea bargain and be back out on the streets again?
We are nowhere near the plea bargaining stage yet. We're just getting done with charging him, and our investigation is still moving forward.
But is that possible?
I can't speak to that right now, ma'am.
Okay.
We also understand that this was a domestic violence issue, and he has a repeat history of domestic violence. And so why weren't protocols and steps put in place to protect this woman and those innocent children from him continuously retaliating and victimizing this family?
The relationship between the victim and the suspect is still being investigated. There has been a history of domestic violence, but I won't go into the status of their relationship at the time of this crime. That's something that's still being investigated. All of that is being looked at.
Can you walk us through at all what happened either that evening or that morning? Can you sort of tell us anything that you guys have kind of divulged from your investigation so far?
Man, there's still, like I said, there's still more questions unanswered than answered. We're still piecing this together. As recently as probably an hour and a half ago, I had detectives in this neighborhood still obtaining video, still doing interviews. There's a lot to go on right now. So for me to answer that right now just wouldn't be fair to the suspect or the victim's family or the investigation.
Neighbors told us they heard gunshots on Monday night. Do we in fact know that that was the case, that they were murdered Monday night and maybe not Tuesday morning when the police got here? Is there any sort of timeline you guys can give us?
Again, as Lieutenant Pillow has explained, we're still early in this investigation. We're 48 hours out from the time of discovering this heinous act. There's a lot of stuff to do with this, and you folks know from the media and our neighborhood folks know that we usually don't give this early in an investigation because we don't want to jeopardize that investigation. The gentleman asked a question about the DV history and things like that. All that stuff is going to be put together, presented to a prosecutor or a grand jury, and then also presented at trial. So we don't want to get too deep into exact things because we don't want to jeopardize the possibility that this person is allowed to plea bargain based on certain things that came out early, or if this person, God forbid, isn't held accountable to the level that the community thinks he should be. So we'll take just a couple more questions, and then we'll let you guys get out of the sun, and we'll continue with this. I'm sorry?
Was it more than one suspect that you know of?
At this time, we only know of the one suspect, ma'am.
Do they have him in protective custody?
Ma'am, at this time, the person is in jail and awaiting the rest of the criminal justice process. One more question. How you doing, young man? Yes, sir. Well, he killed him in a very bad way, and I'm not going to tell you guys all the detail, but he did something that he should not have done, and it should not have happened to your friends here today. So these guys you see behind you, the community folks that you see behind you, we're going to do everything possible to make sure that that doesn't happen to any other kid in this neighborhood or in this city, guys, okay? So I want you guys to have a safe summer, have a good time at the Boys and Girls Club and at the city rec centers, and with time this is going to get better, but this person did a bad thing that they shouldn't have done, and we're going to try to make sure that they don't get out of jail, and we're going to try to make sure this doesn't happen to another kid in this community. All right, folks, thank you.
Why can't we invest money in families instead of ballparks? That's what we need to
Thank
do.
you guys for coming today.
Thank you.
There's a lot of little kids here, so I think we're at the point where we're done answering questions. But thank you guys for coming, and thank you for covering this.
Thank you.